mother has 5 kinds of children. Some of you have heard me say this before. I just want to remind you. Number 1, you have your biological children. And you can always flip it if you're a man. So you don't say, oh, it's all about women. You can always flip it. The same thing goes for you as a man or as a father. You have your biological children. If you are privileged to be pregnant and to give birth to children, so you have your biological children. Number 2, you have your natural children. These are the children that your biological children, will marry or be married to. Number 3, you have your spiritual children. If you're a child of God, you're born again, you know that God expects you to reproduce after your kind in honor of Jesus. Number 4, you have adopted children. Some of them adopted you, you did not even know. That woman in the market that sells tomatoes, and you always bless the child. You play with the child. You tell the child, you need to write JAM. Sometimes you even paid for the exam. You paid the fee. You may not know it. That's your adopted child. Or you sponsor a child in one orphanage in Kenya, in Tanzania, or anywhere in my orphanage. You bless someone. You bless a child that is vulnerable. You are a mother. You are a parent to that child. And then finally, you have your destiny children. Children that are not related to you by blood, by spirit, by soul, by whatever. But you see, you met them on the journey of life. You stepped into their lives, and you have an assignment to fulfill in their lives. So you have these 5 kinds of children. As a man, as a woman. Biological, natural, spiritual, adopted, and destiny children. And these are huge and massive and colossal responsibilities that you cannot afford to fail. We're looking briefly at the mother that generations cannot forget as we celebrate Mother's Day. Today is the monthly Sunday, 2022. There are 4 kinds of mothers and therefore fathers. Number 1, you have absentee mothers. They are never there. Generations cannot forget them. They are never there. They are busy in ministry. They are busy in business. They are busy in politics while their children are growing up. They don't show up. They are not there. They are absentees. And when they are there, they are not there. Let me give you a snippet of our journey. My husband and I, by God's grace, my husband is the founder of this ministry. So he's a bishop. And we've been married almost 38 years. When our kids were young, when they were toddlers and babies, both of us, in fact, when we were cutting, both of us agreed that we will raise our children by ourselves. Our parents will not raise our children. Both of us had the 4 living. No house help, no nanny will raise our children. We agreed. So I put my career on hold for a while my husband was working to raise our kids. And then after a few years, because we had them in quick succession, we agreed that that's what we were going to do. We wanted them to grow together. Let's change the diapers together and then let them grow. Let's be involved. It's not that we had one now and then 15 years after. No. Let's make these sacrifices together. As these children began to grow, we didn't know that God would put us in ministry. As these children began to grow, the responsibility of pastoring this ministry came upon us, and it was not easy at all. After the ministry started, I got pregnant again. So with pregnancy, being the first sweeper in church, with 3 toddlers, it was heavy. I thank God for my junior sister. She was with us, and that helped. When I speak about nanny or house helps, it is not practicable in this age. I'm talking about 30-something years ago. There's no way you will survive now with a career without a house help or a nanny. So don't misquote me. FFA says nanny is evil. I'm just telling you my story and my work. And it is peculiar to me. It is peculiar to my husband. It was what we decided. Because we didn't like the stories we were hearing about children. We didn't like what we were seeing about pastors' children. They didn't have time for them, and they did not turn out well. So when we understood that we would be in ministry, we made up our minds that these children are blank sheets of paper. By God's grace, we're going to write what we believe God has laid on our hearts by our own fingers. As these children began to grow, I did not travel anywhere. My mates were leaving me behind, traveling, preaching, doing meetings. I did not. I was lost in my children's world. My husband and I, every Thursday evening, we went nowhere. We didn't take no appointments. We had to stay with the children. It was our family night. They will ask us any questions. Why should I be married as a virgin? What is menses? How does pregnancy come? We did not do Bible study for them on Thursdays. We answered their questions because we did not want televisions set to answer. We did not want the world to answer. We were there. We grew up together. Our family is like this. That's why it's impossible to break the bond. It's not an occult, but it is something we have decided must be perpetuated. So I tell my children, natural and biological, pray that your children will be one. That is what we call tribal energy. It's important because there are too many envious relations in the world. You cannot afford for your children to be scattered. And if you're here this morning, you and your siblings are not together. It's a demonic attack. You need to pray about it. I still pray about it. I still prayed this morning in the bathroom. Nobody will scatter my children. In love, they will grow together. They will be united. As they get married, those ladies or those men will blend. As their children come up, they also will blend as cousins. There are too many problems, family problems in the world. We don't want to add to that. As our children began to grow and the call of God came upon my life, I would travel with these children. And they will sit down and I will acknowledge them. Thank you for not allowing the microphone to be snatched from your daddy's hand. Thank you for making it open that the gospel works. Thank you for living your lives in such a way that people know that as a pastor's child, you can be well read, you can be married as a virgin, you can love Jesus, and I will say things like that. As they began to move to another stage, before I preach, Austria, Germany, London, America, anywhere, I would take them along and I will hand over the microphone to them, either to sing or to bring a short word. My husband will say, let them do it so that they will know that God did not steal us from them. We don't want to serve the God that took our parents' time. In this sanctuary, there was a time I held a conference for pastors' children. I cried when I listened to their stories. Too many pastors' children are in pains. Get out, get out, get out. People want to sleep. Nobody's there. We talk about pastors. We talk about the pastors' wives. But what about the children? People assume that they dropped from heaven, so they must not cry in church. They must not misbehave. And you call yourself a pastor's child. As if they don't have to go through infancy and childhood and teen years. As if they are not human. As if they don't have their challenges. And we will tell our children, it does not matter how bad it is. Just make sure you don't lie to us. Whether you are in the deepest part of the whatever, I'll be there with you as your mother. I'm glad they turned out well. I'm grateful to God that they are turning out well. So Jesus alone be the glory. And now today, I turn down invitations from around the world. So if you think you are lost in their world, you think it's a waste of time. It is not. Those children will come back to reward you in the name of Jesus.